Hey guys, it's Paul from PhotoWorks, and I'm recording you guys today on my M100, which is just a fantastic camera. Now, I know a lot of people say, hey, well, it doesn't have an internal microphone, but what I'm doing right now is recording to my iPhone as a separate recorder, which is in my pocket, using my Bluetooth earpiece here and mic stuck up there, so it makes it really kind of cool and super convenient. Actually, I don't even need to carry a separate lav system. So anyway, I just want to let you guys know that that is an option for this camera if you're looking to make sure you have really good sound all the time and you can sync in post, which we always do in the movie industry anyway. Okay, that aside, I also want to talk today a little bit about my OMD EM1 Mark II, which is an amazing camera. I've had the OMD EM1 Mark II for quite a while now. It is not a new camera for me. I tend to use it a lot for photo shoots. Now, that being said, the other day I tried to use this on set when we were filming a little bit of a horror movie, or horror comedy movie, if you will, and I ran into problems using this thing. So one of my biggest frustrations, and it's my own fault, so just don't take it as a knock on the camera, is that when I wanted to set some of the video settings, it wasn't particularly intuitive to get to. And it was buried in menus, and we were on a time crunch, and I was like, oh, very frustrated in trying to get this camera where I needed it to be in a big hurry, especially when I wasn't familiar enough with the camera and looking at all the way that they do their movie settings. I know it takes pretty good video overall, and it does a lot of 4K stuff, but I already had presets for the 4K. But I wasn't shooting 4K, I was shooting 1080p at 24 frames a second, and I needed to change it in here, and it was just a miserable experience trying to find the settings to get that done quickly. In fact, after about one or two takes, I just kind of put it aside, and I still went back to using my M100, which I'm shooting to right now. And oddly enough, the M100 is, again, it's a fantastic camera, and we were also using a Canon 5D Mark IV as our other camera on this shoot. The M100 performed super well, but one of the things that I wanted to sort of talk about as it compares to this in terms of filmmaking is that it's good, but the autofocus tracking isn't as wonderful as the M100. But the stability in this thing is insane, by the way, so you can kind of walk and talk and it's going to look really great. But we weren't doing walk and talk at that point anyway for the particular piece of the film. So what I'm trying to say is that if I look at the overall pieces together, I'm trying to figure out, like, for instance, what camera I want to take on vacation with me or to go someplace. And I'm sort of leaning to the M100 in many ways. It doesn't have the same fast frame rate, if you will, and as this bad boy here too. And I actually think the image quality is a little better in the end with the OMD EM1 Mark II when I look at the images side by side on my screen, because I think the lenses in the Olympus system are in fact superior overall. Not to say that the Canon lenses are particularly poor, because they aren't. I really like the 22 millimeter that I'm shooting with this video with right now. It looks great. I have the 18 to 150, and that also seems to be a pretty good lens. I was out hiking last night, actually running in the trails near my house, and I used the Canon with the this lens here, the 22 millimeters, as a matter of fact. And I was trying to get some of the cool sunset. Now, there's a lot of fires here in California right now, and the smoke is blowing into our backyard. Well, it's high up in the air. So the sunsets are unusually red right now, and they're very beautiful to see, just all these reds and oranges and such. It's really cool. But I found that the Canon, these lenses here, really don't do a great job on the sunsets like these do. So that's just kind of one negative that I can find about the camera right now. It's just not as defined. It kind of blows out, I guess, maybe a little bit easier than these do. But anyway, it was just sort of some rambling thoughts about the M100 experience and this camera here, the OMD EM1 Mark II, I was kind of sticking to sort of the filmmaking experience, but I guess I just kind of rambled off a little bit onto the photographic experience. The OMD and the Canon, if you actually look at the images in Lightroom and you bring them up to kind of that one-to-one and you look at how it is in terms of what the pixels look like and your pixel peeping, they're actually not all that dissimilar from each other. I do find the JPEGs in the Canon to be kind of mushy. I'm not really super impressed with that in lower light anyway. With that sunset coming down last night, the sun and the stuff that was in the shadows was really kind of smoogied out. And I think the OMD does a better job of keeping it crisp. Now that could have been because I was running and still kind of huffing and puffing a little bit, kind of hand holding the camera. But it's got an image stabilizer on it, and there's a couple of pictures that were sharp that were done in RAW, but when I tried some of the other modes like HDR and that type of stuff where it puts into a JPEG, the JPEGs really smushed it all out. So I just think that's important to kind of put out there, that ultimately that this Canon is great at shooting in a RAW format. I wouldn't shoot it in JPEG, or I prefer not to shoot it in JPEG, and that's just me. The OMD, again, I also shoot this in RAW too, because I want that flexibility in the image so I can push it in post if I need to, which I typically do, because I really don't like the camera manufacturer telling me how my images should look, because I have my own look and feel. So that's where a lot of people say, well, you should shoot JPEG and just shoot JPEG and be done with it. Yeah, that's fine if you really want to have just a Canon manufacturer come up with what your look should be. But I'm not that guy. I really like to put my own spin on things, especially about images that I really like. All right, so the other thing I was want to talk about was adapting lenses to the M100 and putting some of my Leica glass on the M100. So I was going to go out and do that earlier today. I didn't get a chance to do it yet, but I did shoot some of my kids around the house, and I did some pictures with that. And I found that, of course, the Leica glass is a different look and feel than the typical Canon glass look. So both of them are very sharp. I think some of the ability to blur the background, of course, is maybe a little bit better quality, if you will, with the Leica glass, but not to say that 22 millimeter does a bad job, because it actually does a pretty good job. Anyway, I'll try to post some of those pictures, or when I get a chance, I'm going to shoot some photos and save those photos with you guys online, and that way you can kind of see sort of the differences of what a Voigtlander lens looks like, or a Leica lens look like, versus, let's say, the Canon lens of a sort of equivalent focal length. Why can't I get the word out? I guess because I'm thinking about the lens cap that just fell off this camera. Yeah, on the floor. Yeah. Anyway, but ultimately, I think in general, these two cameras are fantastic. I actually did play around earlier today with my D850 and did a little comparison shoot between them. And of course, the D850 is just a fabulous camera all around. When it really lower light and I needed to nail focus inside my house, of course, it did a really great job. No kidding, right? But one of the things that I noticed about the D850, that it really does have quite a bit more flexibility in the dynamic range, which kind of puts me back into thinking, that should be the camera maybe I should take away, right? Maybe I should take that one with a couple of prime lenses and maybe one zoom, and go with that. It's heavy though. This is light, easy on the back. I'm confused. Anyway, enjoy talking to you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll have more thoughts of cameras and what they're like to use as I get a chance to do it. All right? Cheers. And this is Paul from PhotoWorks. Check out my website. Subscribe down below, please. That'd be cool. Thanks. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.